The FBI looked into him after he dated the president's daughter, and that wasn't even his biggest scandal. Finally, at the age of 85, George Hamilton reveals the $12 million that vanished from his bank accounts. The shocking truth about why he actually returned to Palm Beach, as well as the covert health issue that nearly claimed his life. The most enigmatic playboy in Hollywood is finally prepared to share everything, from KFC ads to cancer scares. On August 12, 1939, George Hamilton was born in Memphis, Tennessee. George William Spike Hamilton, his father, was a bandleader who took his orchestra on national tours. From Blytheville, Arkansas, his mother, and Lucille Stevens, was a Southern socialite. Although they lived in a glamorous world, they had a troubled marriage. When Spike had an affair with a band member in 1944, everything fell apart, and was left to raise George and his two brothers alone after the divorce. After she relocated the family to Blytheville, George was raised by his grandparents. There, life was tranquil, stable, and full of Southern charm. However, both grandparents unexpectedly died in 1947. Everything changed because of this loss. Now that she was having trouble providing for her kids, and took a risk. To choose between moving to Hollywood or New York, she flipped a coin. Hollywood was the coin's destination. In search of a new beginning, she immediately packed their belongings and left for the West. Hollywood life was far from steady. Due to her numerous remarriages, and was constantly relocating to different cities, including Palm Beach, Beverly Hills, Boston, and New York. George repeatedly adapted to new settings while attending private institutions, military academies, and prestigious boarding schools. His personality was shaped by these encounters. He gained knowledge on how to be charming, blend in, and stand out when necessary. George already had a natural confidence by the time he got to Palm Beach High School. His love for acting was discovered there. His performance in a production of Brigadoon during his senior year earned him the title of Florida's Best Actor in a statewide competition. Everything changed in that instant. He came to see acting as more than a pastime. His future lay in it. He made a decision that would change his life in 1957, right before he graduated from high school. He went back to Hollywood with the intention of becoming an actor. It wasn't an easy journey. He led a modest life and filled any available small position. His attractive appearance and charisma immediately attracted notice. He made appearances on television programs such as The Adventures of Rin Tin Tin and The Donna Reed Show. Hollywood had already taken notice, and he was only just getting started. He got his first significant role in Crime and Punishment, USA, in 1959, when he was only 20 years old. By shifting the story from 19th century Russia to 1950s Santa Monica, the movie adapted Dostoevsky's book. Hamilton portrayed Robert Cole, a law student who murders a pawnbroker and battles guilt as a tenacious investigator pursues him. For a novice, it was a demanding and difficult role. However, Hamilton gave a performance that was both assured and exposed. He received a BAFTA nomination for Best Foreign Actor and a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer for his exceptional acting. He was compared by critics to Anthony Perkins, who had recently become well known for Psycho, 1960. Hamilton benefited from their similar appearance and somber on-screen persona. Actors who could emulate rising stars were always sought after by Hollywood, and his likeness to Perkins helped him get the part. Reviews for the movie itself were mixed. Some thought it deviated too much from the original plot, while others praised its jazz-infused score and noir-inspired cinematography. However, one thing was evident. Hamilton had left his mark. The film demonstrated that he could carry a film as a lead actor, despite its modest budget. Prior to making his debut in Hollywood movies, Hamilton gained theater experience. Although production problems prevented the show from airing in 1958, it went on to develop a cult following as the best television series ever. Hamilton had the opportunity to demonstrate his versatility by portraying a variety of characters in spooky, gripping tales. He also made an appearance in the well-known family sitcom, The Donna Reed Show, around the same time. Although it was an entirely different genre, it gave him exposure and confidence on screen. Next came Vincente Minnelli's 1960 film, Home from the Hill. A wealthy but dysfunctional Southern family was the subject of the movie. Hamilton portrayed Robert Mitchum's tough and demanding father figure's sensitive and sheltered son, Theron Honeycutt. It was an adolescent tale of heartbreak, expectations, and family strife. The struggle to find his place in the world was encapsulated in Hamilton's performance. Working with celebrities like Eleanor Parker and Mitchum forced Hamilton to establish himself, and the movie became a critical and financial success. After seeing Crime and Punishment USA, Minnelli saw Hamilton's potential and thought he was the best fit for Theron. Not only did the role make Hamilton a Hollywood star, but it also demonstrated that he had the acting chops to support it. He was more than a pretty face. He could give complicated characters nuance and feeling. His likeness to Anthony Perkins remained a source of conflict. He gained attention as a result, but it also led to ongoing comparisons. Though they recognized his charm and on-screen persona, some critics thought he lacked Perkins' intensity. Hollywood frequently made an effort to categorize actors. And Hamilton needed to demonstrate that he was more than a mere clone. The 1960s saw George Hamilton's quick and surprising ascent to fame. Where the Boys Are, a 1960 film that encapsulated the exhilaration and defiance of young Americans, was his breakthrough. It examined love and changing social norms while following four college girls on a Florida spring break trip. Ryder Smith was portrayed by Hamilton, an elegant Ivy League student who captures Dolores Hart's affection. The movie wasn't merely a success. It sparked a movement. It became a cultural tradition when thousands of students started traveling to Florida for spring break. Connie Francis's rendition of the film's title song, which became an enormous hit, increased its impact. Hamilton was more than just a performer now. He was a representation of sophistication and charm. He played a more somber part in Light in the Piazza, 1962, 2 years later. It was a romantic tale with more nuanced emotional undertones. Fabrizio Naccarelli, portrayed by Hamilton, is a young Italian who develops feelings for Yvette Mimia's character, an American tourist. However, there was a problem. There was an intellectual disability in her character. And the movie investigated whether love could triumph over the challenges it brought about. Hamilton demonstrated that he was more than just a handsome man with his genuine and heartfelt performance. Despite the film's poor box office performance, critics praised his work. The movie, which was filmed in Florence and Rome, allowed Hamilton to play a more nuanced part. Although it wasn't his greatest achievement, it demonstrated his ability to play important roles. The late 1970s saw a startling change in Hamilton's career. He gravitated toward comedy rather than taking on another romantic role. In the 1979 film Love at First Bite, Dracula was recast as a chic vampire who was expelled from his castle by communist authorities and forced to relocate to New York. It was an absurd idea, but it worked. With a blend of charm and self-awareness, Hamilton's portrayal of Dracula made the character both humorous and strangely endearing. The humor was enhanced by his well-known tan, which contrasted with the stereotypically pale vampire appearance. Despite having a modest budget, the movie became an unexpected hit, grossing over $44 million. Hamilton proved he could make audiences laugh as easily as he could play a romantic lead by earning a Golden Globe nomination for his performance. Although the humor was deemed inconsistent by some critics, the movie developed a cult following. In 1981, Hamilton added Zorro, the gay Blade, to his repertoire of humorous characters. He portrayed the renowned Zorro Don Diego Vega and his flamboyant twin brother Ramon, also called Bunny, this time. Bunny steps in when Zorro is hurt, applying his own dramatic approach to the part. His brand of heroism included ostentatious attire and dramatic stunts, which combined humor and action in the movie. While some critics thought the jokes were too predicated on stereotypes, others thought they were smart and innovative. Hamilton received another Golden Globe nomination for the movie, despite its lower box office performance compared to Love at First Bite. It demonstrated his willingness to take chances and experiment with his own appearance. Throughout his career, Hamilton encountered difficulties in spite of his achievements. Hollywood typecast him as a charming playboy because of his good looks, which limited the roles he could play. However, he did not allow that to define him. In the Piazza, he displayed glimmers of his depth, and his comedic performances later defied expectations. He also worked behind the scenes, producing the biopic about the well-known stuntman, Evel Knievel, in 1971. It was yet another instance of him taking charge of his career rather than waiting for the ideal position to present itself. Hamilton used to joke that he was a first-rate con artist but a third-rate actor. The reality, however, was different. He understood how to adjust, how to stay current, and how to take advantage of every chance. He was more than just a hot star in Hollywood. In a field that frequently forgets its stars as soon as it creates them, he was a survivor. Hollywood glitz was not the only aspect of George Hamilton's life. He was in the news for decades due to a string of high-profile romances, financial scandals, and political intrigue. There was more to his relationships than love. His story is among the most intriguing in Hollywood history since they frequently had stronger ties to influence and power. Hamilton began dating President Lyndon B. Johnson's daughter, Linda Bird Johnson, in 1966. Linda was 22 and Hamilton was 26 at the time. From the beginning, their relationship was a spectacle. They went to Mardi Gras, attended the Oscars, and even took a vacation to Acapulco. Hamilton attended Linda's sister's wedding in Washington, D.C., and spent Easter at the LBJ Ranch. While the public witnessed a glamorous couple, President Johnson was deeply troubled behind the scenes. Hamilton was viewed by Johnson as a polished orator with a predetermined goal. He wasn't merely doubtful. He sought evidence. He requested that FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover and Supreme Court Justice Abe Fortas look into Hamilton's past. They investigated everything, including his military history and personal life. There were rumors that Hamilton was exempt from the draft for the Vietnam War. Investigators questioned his claims of financial responsibility for his family, particularly given his mother's opulent lifestyle in Beverly Hills. There was one particularly odd instance. The president gave Hamilton a gun while on a hunting trip at Johnson's ranch in Texas. Nobody was certain if it was a friendly gesture or something more menacing. It was a brief relationship. Linda had moved on by 1967 and later married Captain Charles Robb of the Marine Corps. Hamilton, however, remained in close contact with the Johnson family. He and Linda stayed friends, and he even went to her wedding. Hamilton became involved with Ferdinand Marcos, another influential woman, more than 10 years later. They first crossed paths in 1979 while Hamilton was promoting Love at First Bite. Imelda reportedly gave Hamilton financial support for his projects, and their friendship grew rapidly. Shocking details were disclosed in court documents years later. Through Hamilton's accounts, more than $12 million in pilfered Philippine money had been transferred. The funds were utilized for a number of things, such as financing a movie about General Douglas MacArthur's romantic life and buying a mansion in Beverly Hills. Hamilton stated that he gave back $5.5 million to a bank in Hong Kong that was associated with Marcos Associates. However, investigators discovered that a large portion of the funds returned to the Marcos family. Although Hamilton denied any wrongdoing, he was named as an unindicted co-conspirator in a racketeering case. He maintained that he and Imelda had a purely social relationship. By inviting her to the Philippines following the death of his brother, he even gave her credit for saving his mother's life. However, investigators thought Imelda had a significant impact on Hamilton's financial choices. There was evidence linking her directly to loans secured by his estate in Beverly Hills. Hamilton continued to be involved with influential women. He established himself as one of Hollywood's most endearing playboys over the years. His lengthy list of relationships appeared to corroborate his claim that no one in Hollywood had dated more than him. In addition to some of the most well-known actresses and socialites of his era, he was associated with at least 4 Miss Worlds. He had well-publicized relationships with Alana Stewart and Elizabeth Taylor. Was anything but ordinary? Colonel Tom Parker, Elvis Presley's manager, served as the best man at their Las Vegas wedding. Ashley George Hamilton, their son, was born on September 30, 1974, 2 years later. Although their marriage appeared to be ideal, it ended in 1976. The majority of divorced couples part ways. Alana and George, however, remained unusually close. They even co-hosted a talk show together almost 20 years later. When George and Alana first appeared on television in the middle of the 1990s, viewers were able to observe their playful and loving relationship. Their bond had never truly waned because of their indisputable chemistry. Their transformation from husband and wife to best friends is uncommon in Hollywood and other places. Ashley, their son, followed in his parents' footsteps and grew up in the entertainment industry. He debuted in Beethoven's Second Symphony in 1993, and in 2013, he made an appearance in Iron Man 3. But his personal life was not without its difficulties. He only knew actress Shannon Doherty for 2 weeks before getting married at the age of 19. 5 months passed during the marriage. He battled eating disorders and addiction as well, but comedy and music ultimately gave him stability. George and Alana were there for him through it all, supporting him no matter what. Ashley still gives them credit for always being there. George's life took another turn in the late 1990s when he started dating Kimberly Blackford, a swimsuit model. On December 6, 1999, they welcomed a son, George Thomas Hamilton, Jr., despite never having been married. He was brought up with structure and discipline and was known as GT. He went to the same Florida military school as his father and half-brother, Admiral Farragut Academy. George and Kimberly were determined to raise GT together even after their breakup. He became interested in politics and leadership as he grew older. Despite their large age difference, he and his father developed a close relationship characterized by respect and humor. George took great pride in his son's aspirations and frequently referred to raising GT as his second chance at parenting. George and Alana, meanwhile, continued to have a solid relationship. George remained close to Alana's family even after she remarried rock star Rod Stewart, even taking on the role of father to her children, Sean and Kimberly Stewart. Although George and Alana discussed getting married again over the years, they decided that their current arrangement was ideal. They shared meals, spoke daily, and stood by one another through thick and thin. George Hamilton has always been adept at using his reputation to build a company. He was already well known by the late 1980s for his effortless Hollywood style, deep tan, and smooth charm. He therefore found a way to maintain his fame when his acting roles began to wane. He introduced a range of exfoliating scrubs, face masks, and overnight replenishing gels called the George Hamilton Skin Care System and Sun Care System. These products, which were intended for both men and women, were promoted as hypoallergenic and all-natural. They were initially offered by mail order, but department stores soon carried them. Hamilton also started operating tanning salons at the same time. It was a dangerous time. By the late 1980s, the tanning industry was facing pressure as skin cancer concerns increased. Around a golden tan, so he leaned in rather than moving away. In addition to standard tanning beds, his salons offered after-tan skincare products and sunscreens, promising safe tanning solutions. It was more than just product sales. Selling a way of life that was similar to Hamilton's was the goal. This action helped him transition from actor to entrepreneur and kept him in the spotlight. Movies were no longer the only aspect of his brand. It had to do with a timeless, sun-kissed elegance concept. His subsequent reinvention felt equally natural as a result. Hamilton made a business out of another personal passion in 1997. At the age of 17, he smoked his first Cuban cigar in Havana, and he has always loved them. At the New York Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, he launched Hamilton's Cigar Lounge that same year. It was a whole experience, not just a place to buy cigars. The lounge featured a private back area known as the Club Car, which was decorated with red velvet banquets to resemble an opulent train car. Its servers carried double guillotine cigar cutters for the ideal finish, and its custom cigar menu featured 15 blends under Hamilton's name. The cigars were not simply branded with Hamilton's name. He collaborated with master blenders to produce high-end goods like Hamilton's Reserve, which included Dominican fillers and Connecticut wrappers with notes of chocolate, cinnamon, and coffee. In homage to his Hollywood career, some cigars even had whimsical names like Zorro and King George. The lounge was popular for a while, but the cigar bar trend was waning by the beginning of 2000. And Las Vegas was becoming more competitive. Though it had fulfilled its purpose, the lounge eventually closed. It was sophisticated, decadent, and classic, another flawless manifestation of Hamilton's persona. Then, in 2016, Hamilton's most surprising role to date caught everyone off guard. Colonel Sanders was his new title. Actors alternated portraying the well-known fast food icon in a campaign that KFC was running. Additionally, Hamilton was selected to advertise their extra crisp chicken. The advertisements were humorous, playing up the notion that this version of the Colonel had spent a bit too much time in the sun. He maintained his deep tan while wearing the traditional white suit. It was the ideal fusion of showmanship and self-awareness. It was a successful campaign, and he returned for more commercials with KFC in 2018. Longtime fans valued Hamilton's ability to humorously embrace his own image, while younger audiences delighted in the playful twist. George Hamilton, meanwhile, discovered a fresh approach to audience amusement when he entered the reality television market. He demonstrated that charm and humor could carry him just as far as skill, even in his 60s. He participated in Season 2 of Dancing with the Stars in 2006 at the age of 66. He immediately gained popularity after being paired with professional dancer Edyta Sliwinska. He lacked the agility of the younger competitors, but his personality more than made up for it. He wore a mask and swung a sword during a Zorro-inspired dance, which stands out among his most memorable performances. The Gay Blade, Zorro. He was recuperating from knee injuries, but he advanced to the 6th round before losing. The competition wasn't the only reason he was on the show. It had to do with his demeanor, which was always humorous and lighthearted. Hamilton faced a new type of challenge 3 years later. He appeared on the UK version of I'm a Celebrity in 2009. Get me out of here and into the jungles of Australia. For someone accustomed to wearing immaculate suits and having a permanent tan, it was an odd environment. However, he handled it with the same sense of style and humor that he applied to everything. He was viewed by fans as the favorite to win. However, he shocked everyone by leaving on his own volition on November 30th. He left in the same manner that he had arrived, according to his own terms, having joined for enjoyment rather than the reward. Hamilton continued to make cameos in scripted television in addition to reality TV. He starred in the Columbo episode A Deadly State of Mind in 1975. He demonstrated that he could be both sophisticated and villainous at the same time by portraying a psychiatrist who committed murder through hypnosis. In 1991, he came back to Columbo because, caution, murder can be harmful to your health, portraying a crime show host who murdered a rival this time. He was ideal for parts like these, where charm concealed a darker side, because of his easygoing manner. Hamilton had no trouble stealing the show, even decades later. He played a charming older man named Bob on the sitcom Two Broke Girls in 2016. It only appeared in one episode and had a minor role. His comedic timing, however, added flair to the character. Hamilton had a way of making every role memorable, whether he was delivering a quick joke or portraying a murderer. He went one step further in 2015 when he starred in both Stewart's and Hamilton's, his own reality shows. His blended family, including his ex-wife Alana Stewart, their son Ashley Hamilton, and Alana's children from her marriage to Rod Stewart, were all featured on the E! Network. Fame wasn't the only factor. It was about staying relevant in a world that frequently forgets its stars, family, and aging gracefully. Hamilton struck me as a father figure who exuded effortless charm and knew how to have fun regardless of his stage in life. Despite only having one season, the show offered viewers something new. An authentic glimpse into the man behind the Hollywood facade. Hamilton had performed in a variety of roles over his career, but he wasn't acting in Stewart's or Hamilton's. He was just being himself. Furthermore, years of sunbathing eventually seriously harmed George Hamilton's health, despite the fact that he spent decades honing his distinctive bronzed appearance. His passion for tanning started at a young age and never diminished. Long after most people stopped using sun reflectors, he continued to use them. To maintain his golden glow, he spent hours in the sun and even used tanning beds. But eventually, it was impossible to overlook the harm. He had to have cancerous lesions removed from his forehead and ear following several skin cancer scares. A surgical complication in 2024 following an unanticipated suture pop. This served as a warning. At last, Hamilton switched to safer tanning options. He now uses auto-bronzing creams, such as one he used to sell on QVC, in place of the sun. His choice is indicative of a broader global trend as more people become aware of the risks associated with UV radiation. He was among the last famous people to use artificial tanning, but now he publicly promotes sun safety. In retrospect, he acknowledges that while a tan might seem nice, the dangers are just too great. In addition to changing the way he takes care of his skin, Hamilton has also started to pay more attention to his health. He keeps himself feeling young at 85 by adhering to a strict diet. He abstains from sugar because he believes it to be the worst food one can eat. Omega-3 rich fish, vibrantly colored vegetables, and organic greens are the main ingredients in his meals. He adheres to longevity research and the Mediterranean diet because he thinks that eating is the key to maintaining energy. To make sure he gets all the nutrients he needs, he drinks smoothies every day that are full of bananas, goji berries, almonds, and kale. He also fasts 4 times a year, sometimes for up to 9 days at a time. He thinks it keeps his organs healthy and aids in his body's detoxification. He also takes a wide range of supplements, such as melatonin, fish oil, CoQ10, vitamin Z, C, A, D, and B complex minerals. He has been able to keep his skin smooth and his mind sharp thanks to this routine. Even though he is getting close to his late 80s. Hamilton has returned to Palm Beach, a place that influenced him as a child, despite all of his years in Hollywood. He returned in 2024, completing a full circle in his life. Attending Palm Beach High School and learning how to function in high society, he spent a large portion of his adolescence here. He was exposed to an elite world where style and charm were just as crucial as skill by his father, a society bandleader, and his mother, a socialite. When he was younger, he went to Green's Pharmacy a lot and even met John F. Kennedy. Palm Beach taught him the skills that would define his reputation in Hollywood, and he later referred to it as both a prep school and a finishing school. Like before, he has embraced the social scene now that he is back. He is frequently spotted at Swifties at the Colony Hotel, a famous location that was once frequented by the Duke and Duchess of Windsor. Wearing well-tailored suits or vibrant sweaters from Worth Avenue shops, he fits right in with the glitzy setting. He entertains guests with anecdotes from his time in Hollywood during lunch. Some residents have even proposed that he run for mayor, but he dismisses the notion. Politics doesn't interest him. He just wants to enjoy life. Hamilton, however, is not merely reflecting on the past, even at 85. He is getting ready for a solo tour of Europe and the United States. Highlights of his career will be featured on the show, including his roles as Hank Williams, Evel Knievel, and even Colonel Sanders in KFC commercials, as well as movies like Home from the Hill, 1960, and Light in the Piazza, 1962. As usual, he will incorporate a lot of humor while sharing personal tales and behind-the-scenes stories. Fans can anticipate stories about his early days of teaching ballroom dancing and how, in times of financial hardship, he drove a vintage Rolls-Royce to maintain appearances.